Tell me about yourself. Let's dig into that question a little bit. I'm Dr. Hochman, a medical matchmaker. As a family medicine physician and huge physician advocate, I help doctors to find the jobs of their dreams. Tell me about yourself is one of the most common ways that an interview starts. There's a few reasons that it starts this way. One, it's a really nice way to get started, ease everyone into it. The physician that is interviewing you is probably actually nervous too. And so this is a nice way to just kind of for both of you to ease into it. Remember, this is one of your first impressions, so you really want to make sure that it's a good one. So make sure you practice it. Let me give you an example of a bad tell me about yourself. Here we go. Well, when I was 18, I moved to the US. So I was born in South Africa, actually. And there was this one time in high school that this happened and that happened. And my parents, blah, 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 blah. And then in college, I decided that I wanted to be a doctor because I really found the body interesting. So I went to medical school thinking that I was going to be a surgeon. Blah, 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 blah. But then I decided to go into family medicine. Blah, 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 blah. And so I went to residency at St. Anthony North Hospital in Westminster, Colorado, and I made some great friends there. It was really, really fun. I enjoyed residency so much. Are you bored yet? Because I'm a little bored already. And on and on and on. And then 45 minutes later. And so here I am deciding to interview for your job. Okay, not so great, right? Let's go into a little bit about why that wasn't so good and a little bit about how to make it better. So first of all, you want to keep your tell me about yourself to 2 minutes or less. You think you can do that? 2 minutes or less. The interviewer may have questions prepared, so please give them time to ask their questions. Keep it positive as well. So you don't want to talk about, how broken our healthcare system is and how we hate medicine and this may be the change. Yes, it's broken, but let's ease into that. And of course, keep it professional. So you do not need to talk about your life outside of work all that much. You don't need to talk about your kids' baseball. You don't need to talk about, your parents who are role models. Let's keep it pretty professional. So a nice template to go by is to talk a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present, and a little bit about the future. Or you can even start with the present and then do past and future. So in the present, you want to talk about, I currently am working at this practice, and you may want to mention some accomplishments that you've had there. So I currently work at ABC practice where I see patients of all ages from birth to death. We have about 50% pediatrics and 50% adult patients. While there, I noticed that there were some inefficiencies. So what I did was I actually created a workflow that works best for everyone, including MAs and physicians and the patients, to get the patients into the room and seen faster and out the door. And as physicians, we have more time to chart. So that would be a nice example of one accomplishment. You can talk a little bit about the past, so you do not need to go into detail about anything that was in your resume. So you don't need to say, I went to this medical school, I went to that residency program, but you can say in the past, I've learned in my experiences in the past that I was looking for this kind of practice, and this is why I ended up here. And then for the future, talk a little bit about what you're hoping to achieve. And the reason that I am interviewing for this position is because, either the reason I'm interviewing is because I feel that there isn't enough growth and your position is offering partnership, and that's something I'm really interested in. Or, I found that the system that I'm hired by, their value system, doesn't align with mine so much. And so I'm really excited to learn that in your practice, you have enough time with patients and you really are able to take care of the patient and put the patients first. And this is why I'm really excited about learning more about your practice. So I'll tell you the best tell me about yourself that I've ever heard, and I've probably interviewed over 100 people, was actually from a virtual assistant living in the Philippines. And in her tell me about yourself, I got everything I wanted to know. She mentioned, these are the skills that I have. These are the programs I've worked with before. This is what I enjoy doing. These are my strengths. And I almost ended that answer with, I mean, I felt flabbergasted. I didn't even know what to ask it after that because she answered all of my questions in her "Tell me about yourself" statement. So, really make sure that you tailor it to the position. So, if you know that this is perhaps a direct primary care practice or maybe a heavily surgical practice, tell them a little bit about that. Say, I've noticed in the job description that you talked a lot about all the procedures that are done in this practice, and I think that I would be such an asset because I have just learned to do endometrial biopsies, and that's something I'd love to bring to the table. Or it could be, I noticed that you do a lot of suturing and I'm a little rusty on my suturing, so if you're okay with helping me with that, maybe we can work on learning that together. So, tell me about yourself is something that you do not want to overlook, and practice. Practice, practice, practice. Don't forget to practice your tell me about yourself. Don't memorize it because you don't want it to seem rote. Don't read it off of a screen if it's a Zoom interview, but really practice what are the points that you want to hit. Keep it professional. Don't talk about your childhood unless it's extremely relevant to the position. And this is your chance to shine. Remember that first impressions are the most important impressions. And so this may make or break you. So practice your tell me about you statement. And if you're looking for a position, please contact me. I'd love to help you find one. And I will absolutely coach you through the interview process and the contract negotiation and all of that if we find you a position, when we find you a position that closely aligns what is important to you. So you can find me at www.happydayhealth.co.